A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The dungeon labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
Presentation. Good afternoon, or good evening, good morning, wherever you are on this fine day here in Simland. It is time for week number 3 of the 2024 Season 1 official time split strength of field broadcast. It's here at Long Beach here. The Mission Art Challenge roars to life in the streets of California. We've got all the action for you here on Turn 200. It's just Tommy Cook here today, but don't let that spoil the party for you too much. It's going to be a fantastic 20-minute official race here for week number 3 of competition in the Mission Art Challenge. 2 already fantastic weeks, although with it being Christmas Eve last week, not a whole lot of participants after a split in week 1. Only 6 drivers last week. Today, 11 drivers, so we're up a little bit, but some drivers and some folks mentioned that they are out of town for the holiday, with it being New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to each and every one of you who are hanging out with us here today. But again, 11 drivers, a lot of familiar names are going to take to the grid here. We'll see who is out and about on track right now. Alexander Cattermole is back with us this afternoon, and he just went to 4th on the board out of 4 drivers who have posted a time. 3 other drivers are out there trying their hand, including the reigning champion, both on Sundays and the overall official series champion in all divisions last season, J.J. Wang. Ooh, a bit wide into the hairpin. Of course, Long Beach, just a tick under 2 miles in length, 11 turns. That final hairpin turn may cause problems before we even, well, I guess if this were a rolling start, it would cause problems before we even got to the green. But, of course, this is a standing start, so just the regular amount of treachery, if you will, for Long Beach here this afternoon. J.J. Wang is on the clock, should have enough time to come around and post a lap. Top time right now belongs to Thortola, who got on the podium last week, 1:16.48. And Indica Scarlet, who also finished on the podium last week, just crossed the line. And as Thor and Indica are always together on track with one another, they right now provisionally have the front row locked down. I think they ought to consider being teammates or something. So right along here with J.J. Wang, we'll go kickpot cam. Turns 8, 9, 10, and this is turn 11, right up against the inside there. That's one of the 2 ways you could take that. That's probably the safer of the 2 options. And JJ across the line, unfortunately, must have, oh, never mind. Across the line, there he goes to the top of the board. I was going to say he must have picked up an incident point somewhere, but didn't quite make it to the line by the time I said he did. So 1:15.93 is the only driver in the 1:15s there. That leaves us Michael Davis, the only one that is out on track. Could potentially be the 7th driver to post a time if he's able to make it around in time. Still recovering from the holidays here in terms of stream count. Stream count is a little bit low this week. We do have the return of the Venom Truck Series on Tuesday night, and it is the Venom All-Star Race, and it's Venom Trucks Getting Dirty at Lernerville. That is the name of the game for Tuesday night. So we'll have the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race right here on Turn 200. Starting around the usual time stream-wise, about 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I believe that is our only other race until we get to next Sunday's top split strength of field race once again from Rudskogen. So that'll be exciting to finally get that track on the channel. It's a very divisive track, but one that I particularly enjoy. So it should be exciting to get Rudskogen on the channel here for the very first time. And with that, qualifying has expired, so it is time now to take to the starting grid for 11 drivers here, 20 minutes around Long Beach. And with a quick time, it is the reigning series champion, J.J. Wang. With a 1:15 and change there, Thortola will be on the outside of the front row. Indica Scarlet, rather. Thor and Indica, both podium finishers last week. They start second and third, with Ellis Spice rounding out the front 2 rows. Ryan Phillips, Alexander Cattermole on row number 3. Matt Schlosser is back after giving it his first go last week. He starts at 7th, and Christopher Kresge is here. He is 8th on the starting grid. Adrian Johansson starting in 9th, and John Schnabel is back as well. He rounds out your top 10 starters. And Michael Davis, your 11th and final starter here for 20 minutes of racing around Long Beach. Standing start incoming as soon as we get J.J. Wang and Christopher Kresge onto the starting grid. Round number 3, and we will have a new Sunday top split winner here in regards to this season. Both of the drivers that have gone to victory lane thus far are not here today. The reigning champ J.J. Wang wants to get back to victory lane. Will this be his best opportunity to do so? We are underway. Around the curved front straightaway here, barreling down to a 90-degree left. That will pose problems for anybody that's not hot on the brakes. Wang makes it through. Oh, that's a problem. That's Indica and Thor and a pile in there. I believe Michael Davis was the one that got a piece of that. Big problems here early in the going for Thor and Indica. As soon as we sort out the rest of this first lap, we'll take a look at that. J.J. Wang leading Ellis Spice and Ryan Phillips now. Alexander Cattermole in 4th. And Adrian Johansson right now rounds out the top 5. Everybody that was involved in that first lap accident is still out on the track here. Let's go ahead. Since JJ's not under fire, we'll take a look at what transpired here on the opening lap. At full speed, riding behind Indica Scarlet right now on the inside. Oh, and just revved up a little bit too quick, caught Thortola out there. I think this is Christopher Kresge. Yep, that was the one that made some pretty hefty contact there. But they keep moving. This is Ryan Phillips who finds himself on the podium here. Leading a long train, Alexander Cattermole, Adrian Johansson right now the top 5, John Schneebel and Matt Schlosser. Schlosser all over Schneebel at the current moment. Hear those tires working as, oh, that was a problem. That's Matt Schlosser that has gone around. Christopher Kresge will sneak through. Talk a lot about the draft on these cars with that huge rear wing that opens up. Really could give opportunities for passing into turn number 1 if you were to be so brave. I just did a race here as, whoa, there goes Cattermole around, unassisted. That is a dangerous spot to be. A lot of people going backwards here to try to get themselves sorted out. I just did a race here in a Lotus 79 on Friday night, and I tell you what, you have to have an awful lot of confidence to try and make passes in these tight confines. And that car is a lot friendlier than this one. A lot more downforce, a lot less weight, and not nearly as wide. These drivers are struggling here early. JJ Wang, comfortable lead here. A little over 4 seconds. Back to Ellis Spice. He's having a nice bounce back after what was a disappointing week last week at Jerez. Some distance now between Ryan Phillips and Adrian Johansson. Back to John Schnabel, who sounded a little unconfident heading into today's race, if the Discord server was to be believed. But having a nice run here thus far. Has survived the early chaos. Everybody from 6 on back has had to work through the chaos, including Christopher Kresge. I believe he made a couple of starts last season, intermittently. He's here in 6th. Thortola and Indica Scarlet. After their first lap mishap, they have rebounded up to 7th and 8th at the current moment. Alexander Cattermole, who took a spin last time around. And Matt Schlosser in 10th. And oh, Schlosser, more problems. We'll jump back up to the battle for 3rd. As this will be a good opportunity for Adrian Johansson to maybe pull up and force an error, or just try and make the pass outright here on Ryan Phillips. You see where that pit lane exit is. You cannot encroach on that if you did not come out of the pits. So as much as it would benefit some of these drivers to swing out wide into that runoff area, you cannot do it without incurring a slowdown penalty. Oh, and something has happened to John Schnabel. Christopher Kresge and Thortola have both gotten past. I think maybe maybe jinxed our friend John here. We'll have to see. Trying to slow down. Up, overcooks it just a bit and into the runoff area. So John right now trying to fend off Indica Scarlet to hang on to 7th and try and recoup a little bit. Christopher Kresge with Thortola behind. Kresge now rounds out the top 5. Using all of the curbing there. That's got to be a bit sketchy. And Schneebel going to let Scarlett go by. Kresge and Tola right now duking it out. Thor may have a great opportunity here into turn number 1. Not quite yet. Up ahead of these two, Ryan Phillips has found a bit of separation back to Adrian Johansson. As, Kresge a little bit wide. Grabs a bit of barrier on his way through. See, Indica Scarlet and John Schneebel both hit it as well. But Thortola past Christopher Kresge now and into the top 5. Oh, problems for J.J. Wang, it says. I think he may have clipped part of the barrier on his way through. Ella Spice does the same. Let's take a look at what happened to the race leader here. So that's interesting that registers as a crash, even though they're just slowing down to take the right-hand turn. Well, nevertheless, I guess nothing happened to J.J. Wang. I'll just have to bear that in mind as this race rolls along, that for some reason the sim thinks that they've crashed when they have not. Still a comfortable lead here for J.J. Wang, and it's growing. It's almost 9 seconds to this point. Ella Spice in second. Ryan Phillips still hanging on to third here. Adrian Johansson right behind in fourth. And then 9 seconds back to Thortola. That is your top 5. Indica Scarlet has gotten around Christopher Kresge now as well. That's for 6th. Here's Kresge back in 7th. Slide in the rears. And John Schneebel back in 8th. Somebody grabbed a piece of barrier there on their way through into the right-hander. Riding on board with Adrian Johansson. So much off-camber turning and manipulating here, and so much undulation in the streets. It is tough to keep a set of tires underneath you no matter what you're driving. We've seen Long Beach on the channel here now across 3 different cars. And it does not make it easy, no matter what vehicle you're driving. Gap up to Ryan Phillips is over a second now, so outside of effective draft range. But still plenty of time to go. Just over the halfway mark of this race. 11.5 minutes complete. 8.5 left to go. So as those two continue to draw closer and further apart, so do these two, Kresge and Schneebel, for 7th. Race up front is well in hand for J.J. Wang. And Ella Spice not under any sort of threat either. But Schneebel and Kresge going at it here. Kresge, one of the top amateur contenders in the points for the Formula Super Series, which will be back here in a couple of weeks on Monday nights. Johansson continues to stay right behind Ryan Phillips here. Gap was just a little bit over a second. Now it's under 7/10. Gap up front has closed just a bit, but it's still a pretty comfortable 8-second lead or so for J.J. Wang over Ellis Spice. John Schneebel has just gotten past Christopher Kresge. Oh, and Kresge, wow, piles into Schneebel there. Wow. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Let's look at it again. So this is heading into turn number 1. Schneebel, bit of a lockup. Wide. Hugs that fountain turn. Kresge catches a piece of it as well. And you'll see Schneebel going slow. And didn't quite catch that. But you saw it live. I think just a miscommunication of speed there. And Kresge lets Schneebel go right on back through. So that's not how either of them wanted to see their race end up here with 5.5 minutes to go. Johansson continuing to ride behind Ryan Phillips here. Give some love to our reigning series champion and the pole sitter of this event, J.J. Wang. Leading the way, a comfortable. Something must have happened to Ellis Spice because he was just 8 seconds behind and closing a little bit. But now the gap is 17.5 seconds. Schneebel and Kresge are down pit road. They may have had a penalty to serve, either that or required repairs after their tussle. Johansson continues to inch closer and closer here. Should have about 2 laps to go, maybe a little bit more. But on how quick J.J. Wang can get back to the line. Time is running out if Johansson wants to snag the podium away here from Ryan Phillips, who's done a nice job all race long. Gap up front is over. 25 seconds still for J.J. Wang. It's his race to lose here. A bit wide for Phillips there. This may be Johansson's opportunity to capitalize. Johansson will at least look out to the right. Has a nose ahead. Might be able to complete the pass before they even get to turn one, and will. So Adrian Johansson up to third. It's now Phillips on the back foot here. Oh, but Johansson went wide into one. An unforced error. Thortola has now gotten through to fourth, and Johansson back to fifth. Oh, man. Here's another look. Johansson, well done to complete the pass, but then overcooks it just that much. And that will cost Adrian Johansson a look at the podium. So this will be the white flag lap. J.J. Wang has crossed the line, 23 seconds back to Ellis Spice. Who has another 5 seconds back to Ryan Phillips. I will say that gap has closed, even as Phillips has been battling quite a bit. But Spice with just 1 lap to go here, looking to hang on to second. And Ryan Phillips now with 6 seconds back to Thortola. We'll spend the last half lap here with J.J. Wang. Plenty of time to make a recovery should things go sideways here in the final few turns. JJ spent last week in the booth with us here, and week 1 was arguably his to lose, and unfortunately an equipment malfunction took him out of that race. Today he will not be denied. It's JJ Wang with the win here at Long Beach in week 3. Ellis Spice through the hairpin. And Spice, who was looking nice for a podium last week, finished just inside the top 5. Now we'll take that podium and finish in second. And well done by Ryan Phillips to survive the onslaught there in the penultimate lap. Ryan Phillips will round out the podium. Good recovery for Thortola to finish 4th, 5th for Adrian Johansson, and 6th for Indica Scarlet. And Alexander Cattermole should be the final driver here on the lead lap. And Cattermole finishes in 7th. JJ going to give us a show here. And that's all she wrote, folks. Good race here today at Long Beach. And the final finishing rundown looks like this. J.J. Wang with the first win of the season. Ellis Spice will finish in second. Ryan Phillips in third. Then Thortola and Adrian Johansson round out your top 5. Indica Scarlet in 6th. Alexander Cattermole in 7th. John Schneebel, Christopher Kresge, and Matt Schlosser through 10th. And Michael Davis will finish in the 11th position. Waiting for the drivers to hit the cool-down room here before we drag everybody on up. And hopefully have a couple of interviews for you here today. After a pretty fun race at Long Beach, it always is. This track provides so many opportunities for chaos and calamity. and that's certainly delivered here today. As want to remind everybody that the next time we'll be on air here is on Tuesday with the Venom Truck Series All-Star Race from Lernerville. And then the next time we'll be on air after that will be next Sunday's race from Ridskogen for the Mission R Challenge Top Split Strength of Field broadcast on Sunday. We'll talk to your third place finisher here. First, it is Ryan Phillips.
Nice, thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice drive here today. And
Thank you.
Especially nice to not only miss a lot of the chaos and calamity there in the opening stretch of the race, but a pretty hefty onslaught there with 2 or 3 laps to go that you were able to survive as well.
Right, yeah. Had a good battle there. I think it was with Adrian behind me all the way through. I got kind of lucky there in the turn 1 chaos and was able to make it through that safely. And then the car behind was on me the rest of the race. It felt like they were within a second or a second and a half, like the whole time. And we would get a lot closer in the hairpin, and it in several different corners, kind of all the way through the track. We were running almost exactly the same pace. Good battle there. And then finally, towards the end of the race, I got into the wall a bit coming out of the hairpin, and they got by me going into turn 1 and then missed turn 1. So that was the end of the battle, but it was a lot of fun for sure.
Well, congrats on the podium here today. Do you have anybody you want to shout out or say hello to here?
No, just my buddy Ellis there coming in P2. We were in voice chat together, and always fun to race together.
Well, there you go. I'll swap in Ellis for you, but nice work here today on the podium. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alrighty. We will talk to your second place finisher
Going the
now.
wrong way.
Ellis Spice. Congratulations on the podium. Been a hard-fought season for you here, but a P2 here today. Got to feel pretty good.
Yeah. After lap 1, I just took it a bit easy. But it's nice to finally get a podium. Like, I got about 5 fourth places up until now in broadcast races. So
Absolutely. To survive that the first turn, which is always tricky here, no matter what kind of vehicle you're driving, you did nice to do that here today, where it seems like luck has not been on your side of late to miss some of the chaos.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I got lucky that thankfully both cars went left and there was nothing there. I didn't manage to survive turn 1 every time. I managed to meatball the car with 2 to go. I missed my braking point. But thankfully limped it home. So, yeah.
That's pretty scary.
yeah. Missing the turn and being like, that was a pretty hard hit, and then the sim telling you, yes, it was. that's the meatball. It's like, oh, oops.
Well, it's good to get you in the booth here, and hopefully first of many podiums here on the channel. Do you have anybody you want to shout out or say hello to?
No, does everyone keep coming out and racing? Like, it's great seeing new faces. It's great seeing old faces return. So, yeah.
Well, since we stole JJ away last week and brought him up here in the broadcast booth, you are now the only person that's appeared on every Sunday afternoon broadcast here on Turn 200. So, thanks for coming out and racing here. And we always appreciate seeing you battle. You always put on a show for us, no matter where you are. So. Appreciate you doing that, and congrats here on the podium, and a happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Yeah, a happy New Year to you as well. Thank you very much.
And one driver that is no stranger to Booth 200. He was up here for the entire race last week, actually. But the reigning champ is back where he belongs, not just on track, but in victory lane. JJ Wang, the winner here today at Long Beach. Congratulations.
Hey, Tommy. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Well, you missed the big one, and then you set sail. But this is a track that can reach out and grab you at any point. So I'm sure you were on guard and on edge pretty much this entire race, despite the fact that you were well out in front of everything that was happening.
Yeah, I think this probably, I would say, turn 8 is my worst corner. It's just so easy to spin there. I've hated that turn in basically every car I've touched here. And it's kind of, you know, testament to my comfort in this car that turn 8 is reasonably comfortable for me. But even so, just in practice, it's just easy just to hit the brakes just slightly too hard, and then the back end would just immediately go around. So yeah, it's not easy. I'm sure it didn't quite seem that way on the broadcast, but it certainly wasn't easy.
Well, I think anybody that's ever driven this track, had the pleasure to or the misfortune to drive this track knows that it's not easy, no matter what the circumstances are. But to get a win here, not an easy feat, but a celebrated one. So hopefully you're celebrating here after the misfortunes that befell you in week 1 here. Especially, you got to feel pretty good to come away with the dub here.
Yeah, absolutely. Goal of the season, you never know who will show in, week out. So I can't really take any of these for granted. Always have to at least put in a little bit of practice each time, or show up to the Thursday split just to feel out the race conditions. So yeah, happy to put Olton behind me in the best way possible. That was definitely very disappointing. But yeah, I'll take it for Long Beach. I do really enjoy this car on street tracks. So yeah, happy to get a win here in the second season on a street track.
Well, we're happy to see it as well. Anybody you want to shout out or say hello to here?
Yeah, firstly, would love to thank you for doing this broadcast, and of course Matt, just everybody who makes Turn 200 possible. It's been real great seeing seeing the strength of field for something a little strange, something a little different. Yeah, I'd love to give a shout out to my team, Team Watson Racing. Go to twrsetups.com to check out our setups. We actually got some Road to Pro guys on the oval side for next gen setups. So go check those out. Love to give a big thanks to Jeff Mathis, my personal engineer, and big shout out to James Watson as well for just his team's general support. I appreciate it as well.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else there? I kind of cut you off.
No, that's about it.
Alrighty, partner. You're the final winner on the channel here in 2023. So happy New Year to you. And I know we'll be talking to you again here soon, no matter what day of the week it is. So go celebrate a fine race here and a wonderful New Year celebration to you as well.
Thanks so much. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Alrighty, that is how we say goodbye here today. Again, Tuesday afternoon, or rather, how about Tuesday evening with the Venom All-Star Race at Lernerville. That's the next time we'll be on air. After that, we'll be back on air on Sunday afternoon. There we go, from Redskogan. So that is when we'll see you next. But until we meet again, for everybody here with Turn 200, for Mr. Matt Williamson, the one and only, I am Tommy Cook. We say so long here from Long Beach, where JJ Wang is victorious in the Sunday Top Split Strength of Field broadcast for the Mission R Challenge. Have a good night, everybody, and a Happy New Year.